Testing this thing on. Hello. Welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing this Wednesday afternoon? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, everybody? What's up, Jordy? How's it going? Where's everyone joining from? I'm an hour north of San Francisco in Santa Rosa. Enjoying another beautiful day in quarantine. In a minute here, we're going to be inviting my good friend, Blake Mycoskie, to join me. He's an awesome guy, entrepreneur, mentor, friend of mine, done a lot of awesome stuff, climber, and we're going to have a good little chat here. I'll be honest, I haven't done a lot of these Insta Live things, so I'm kind of winging it a little bit. Okay, there's how I add Blake. Good, good. Cool, we got someone from Italy, Paris, Louisville, Kentucky. Love it, love it. UK, love the UK. Love getting scared on all the great stone there. Brazil, oh, one of my favorite. I've been to Brazil twice. Love that country, it's beautiful. Itatiaia National Park is one of my favorites. Tehran, amazing. Hey, True Blue. All right. Well, while people start to trickle in, I'm going to get this going here. Before I get started, I want to thank one of my partners that made this whole thing happen, and that's True Blue Climbing. And if you haven't heard of them, they make the best auto belays in the world. And they've been a partner of mine for quite a while, both informally and formally. You may or may not have heard of my nonprofit called One Climb, which builds climbing walls in boys and girls clubs across the country. And we decided a long time ago to, instead of having traditional top ropes, have auto belays on these walls, because it just makes it so much easier to get kids on and off the wall, so much easier for the Boys and Girls Club to introduce kids to climbing. And I'm all about growing the sport. True Blue's all about growing the sport. So it's a really intuitive partnership. So we're doing something kind of cool while all the climbing gyms almost entirely around the world are closed. We're doing a little giveaway. And you guys that are watching have the chance to win one of 3 free auto belays for your local gym. All you have to do is make your own post or go over to True Blue Climbing and tag your favorite local climbing gym on their post, or make your own post and make the hashtag support your local gym. And make sure you also give True Blue a follow, and that'll enter you to win, and hopefully you win. So with that, I'm going to invite Blake to join me here. And what's going to happen is we're gonna catch up. Honestly, Blake and I haven't caught up in like a couple months, so I'm really looking forward to catching up with Blake and seeing his face and seeing what he's up to. I think he's in Mexico right now. We're going to find out. I'm not quite sure. And then we're going to chat for 20, 30 minutes, and then we're going to open it up to questions for 15 minutes. And the whole time, you guys will be eligible to win those auto belays. And then we'll all sign off and continue having an awesome day. But with that, let me see if I am savvy enough to figure out how to invite Blake. We'll see.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Great.
Awesome. So I just want to give everybody a quick introduction of Blake. Blake and I met a number of years ago on a cruise ship, of all things. We were both there doing this speaking event type thing. If you haven't heard of the company Tom's Shoes, it's one of the original social impact one-for-one companies that was ever founded. Now you see this kind of stuff everywhere. This was Blake's baby. He thought of it, he grew it, and now it's really set the example for how to give back and also create a really amazing company. He's also a climber, which is what really connected us. You know, when we met at this speaking event, we were both wrestling with the same question, which is what really connected us, which was what's next? You know, Blake was exploring this whole idea of what's next for himself and for Tom's, and I had just finished the Dawn Wall, and I really didn't know what was next either. So we really bonded over this uncertainty, and that bond has taken us to the Grand Teton to do these crazy 22-hour car-to-car climbs together, taking us to oh man, what's that place in Idaho?
City of Rocks.
City of Rocks. Awesome trip out to City of Rocks. Blake has been a huge supporter of One Sewell and Tom's to create a climbing shoe, to create a casual shoe with sticky rubber on the bottom. Super cool stuff. But Blake, man, it has been, I feel like, months since we've connected. Where are you, in Mexico right now? Where are you?
I'm still here in Mexico. I've been here for 58 days, I think. So
Whoa.
yeah, it's kind of a crazy story. I actually came down to Baja to do a 7-day silent Vipassana meditation retreat, and that was on March 7th. And I was totally silent, meditating for 7 days off the coast of Mexico. And when I got back and I turned on my phone, that whole week is when the whole Corona thing happened, at least in the United States. And so I went from like not knowing anything to like can't get back on an airplane. And so I've been here for since.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah,
so,
it's been great
you're
though.
down
I mean,
in Mexico.
I've been surfing a lot, and
Oh, that doesn't suck.
yeah, no, it's I can't complain at all. It's been a really beautiful, lots of continued meditation, lots of reading, read some amazing books. Have a couple little climbing holes that I installed on my garage. So I've been working on getting my grip strings ready for when I get back to Jackson. And yeah, life's good.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you've been spending your time reading and surfing and meditating and climbing a little bit.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
It's not bad. No.
Yeah, are the kids there with you as well?
Yeah. So it's been interesting for those who are watching. One interesting part of change in my life was I got divorced this year. And my ex-wife and I decided to do quarantine together with our kids. And so being in quarantine with your ex-wife, most people think is like a really crazy thing, but it's been absolutely beautiful. We're still the best of friends. We've had so much fun together. I think it's built a great foundation for the future of our co-parenting and friendship. And so it's been great. Heather and the kids have been here, and we just really had a lovely time. I mean, my heart really has been hurting for so many people who are suffering, and I've been doing a lot of nonprofit work with about 10 different nonprofits, mainly in Jackson Hole, but also in Los Angeles, helping first responders and helping people who are just really have no savings during this time and just need that economic help to get them through. So I've been actually doing quite a bit of work down here because of that. But when I haven't been doing my work, and I've been trying to spend it in the ocean on the beach with the kids.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, we really connected.
What are you guys up to? I mean, how's Jackie and little man?
Jackie and Edsel are so awesome. So Edsel turned 17 months old on the 2nd.
Okay.
He's a total maniac. We had a little baby versus cactus incident this morning.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
That hurt.
I think Edsel won. There was a little bit of blood, but at the end of the day, he brushed it off.
Yeah,
but,
that's good.
It hasn't been too disruptive to our scene. It's a little lonely more than anything. Not being able to see your friends in person and go out to restaurants and stuff or travel. It's such a big part of our lives. But we just spend like 4 to 6 hours a day outside just hanging out with Edsel and being active. And more than anything, it's just been like at this time to reconnect with the family and kind of slow things down.
With small kids, it's actually a beautiful time. I mean, you'll never get that time back. And I feel the same. Charlie turned 2 in October, and that's when they really start talking and discovering language. And it's been so beautiful just watching her totally thrive down here. It's a really, I think, assuming that you're able to have, a roof over your head and food and the basic needs, I think this experience has been really positive for a lot of people if you have your basic needs met and you're not living in fear. And it allows us to really reconnect with our families, what's important to us. And I'm hoping as we start to kind of reacclimate to life, I don't think life will ever go back to normal because I don't know if the way we were living was really normal. I think, it'd be interesting to see how people take the lessons learned and hopefully apply them to, living in a more intentional way going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I want to come back to that, especially as it relates to the future.
Yeah.
But for a minute, I want to talk about kind of what brought us together, which is climbing and
Yeah.
I don't even think I know this story, but how did you first get into climbing?
So it really for me happened really more through mountaineering, I would say, than climbing. You know, like I started spending every summer in Jackson Hole, where I now live full time, about 6 years ago, around the time that I met you on the boat, and I started. My first thing I ever did was climb the Grand Teton, and so I learned to climb, and as you know, that's a lot of hiking. You know, a lot of just grinding it out, a lot of short roping, and so I I really had to learn to climb technically so that I could, you know, get to the tops of mountains because I love the views and the experiences of being up there. But then as that progressed and I wanted to, you know, go up different routes and more challenging routes from a technical standpoint, you know, I really started finding time when I was in LA to go to one of the awesome climbing gyms in LA. There's so many good ones. Cliffs of It is probably my favorite. So started spending time there when I was in LA, and then I actually I was fortunate enough to build a climbing wall with 3 True Blue auto belays in my garage in Jackson. So I get to climb
Sweet.
year round in the garage.
I want to come check that out, and I want to have some more adventures in the Tetons this summer once,
Yeah.
hopefully, you know, travel becomes a little bit more okay, because
Yeah,
that was
I
one of my
definitely
most
want to get
memorable
out
days.
back to the City of Rocks. Hopefully, in the next, I think we'll probably head back to Jackson, you know, sometime soon. And when we do, I think the city's such a great place in the spring before it gets too hot. So May, early June. The other thing I want to climb this summer is Devil's Tower. Have you ever climbed that?
No, let's go. I'm
Do
in.
you know about it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I think it's one of those things too where you got to go early spring or late summer, early fall. So let's shoot for a late summer, early fall time.
All right.
Bring Jackie and Etzel to my place. We can leave them at the ranch and then head out there for a day or two. It'd be great.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Tell me about this home wall. Did Eldorado build that home wall for you?
Yeah, Eldorado
Yeah.
built it, and Take Hold holds from our buddy Dan, and yeah, it's awesome. It's
That's
the
great.
kids love it. I love it. You know, it's about I'd say maybe let's see about I want to say 40 feet tall. So
Whoa, that's a
you
hell of a
definitely
home
need
wall.
yeah you definitely need auto belays, and yeah, it's awesome. It's great. And the beautiful thing is while you're climbing, there's this beautiful. I wish I could send a picture or post a picture. I don't think I can. There's this. It's on my Instagram if you want to see it. I think I posted it maybe a month or two ago when I was climbing. But it was so fun. I was climbing in the home wall, and my dog was there, like just watching me climb. And then through the window, you could see the Grand Teton, and it
Epic.
was just like this beautiful moment that my friend Casey caught with this camera. And so I posted on Instagram, and it got a lot of people like, wow, like that's crazy. You're like training in the winter for something that's just like staring you down in the summer. So
That's awesome.
it's pretty awesome.
Love it. Love it. I want to take that opportunity to remind people that we have a chance to win up to or one of 3 autoblays from True Blue. You got to go to their account, you got to follow them, and then you can comment on their most recent post and just tag the gym that you'd like to win the autoblay with the hashtag support your local gym, and that'll enter you into a contest to win one of these autoblays. That you know, I'm sure your gym would be psyched to add them because yeah, if anything, you know, we're going to be using more of these types of things while gyms transition from being closed to fully open again. I think there's going to be a
Sure.
lot of solo climbing. Um, so Blake, one of the things that I love about climbing is it's kind of like a mirror into your life. Anything, whatever you need in your life at the moment, when you go climbing, it kind of reveals that to you,
Oh yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know, if I
Sure.
haven't been focused lately, for example, and I go out to the coast to go climbing, it's going to reveal itself in how I show up and try to climb, or if I'm
Totally.
lacking confidence or anything like that. That's kind of like my favorite part about climbing. What has climbing taught you about yourself recently, or maybe on your last climbing trip that maybe surprised you, or it's one of the reasons that keeps you coming back?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the beautiful things, and actually I experienced this on a very specific route when we were at City Rocks. I don't know what the name of it was or where it was, but I remember I got, kind of halfway up a pitch, and it just seemed like I had reached my limit in terms of my technical ability. And I literally felt and felt and felt, and there's just nothing, And what's nice about it is that when the fear kind of kicks in, I mean, even though you're roped in, there's that edge, and you don't want to fall because then you have to restart. And I remember being there and having this moment where I thought, this is like a 10B or something. So it's in my range. And so there has to be a hold. Like there has to be a way. Like there's no way that I could be here and there's nothing. I just haven't figured it out yet, right? There has to be a way. And so by taking patience and staying calm, eventually I found this one spot to put my foot, which then allowed me to a handhold, etc. And then I made it. And it was like one of the more challenging routes for me to make in outdoor climbing. And I think that is often how life is that, we get to a place where we get stuck, and that could be like feeling a little depressed. It could be overwhelmed with work. It could be a challenge in one of your relationships. And it doesn't feel like that there's a path forward. Like it doesn't feel like there's a way to easily get out of this. But if you remain calm and try to feel it out a little bit, you can usually find that foothold that you overlooked or that handheld that was just a little bit off the line you were taking. And I think that's one thing that I love about climbing is that it really teaches me to stay calm and to know and trust that I can figure this out. And that's very much how I apply it to my day-to-day life, whether that's when one of my children is having a meltdown or I'm dealing with something challenging at work or trying to help a nonprofit get through a very hard time during COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was recently asked by a company to come in and kind of share lessons from the Dawn Wall as they relate to everything we're going through with this crazy pandemic. And I'd be curious to hear kind of how you approach this. But one of the things that I learned during the Dawn Wall was how to stay positive in moments of extreme, whether that be stress or adversity or challenge. And I remember the way that I did it on the Dawn Wall was really focusing on how I ended my days. Because I really felt that there was a way to influence what kind of memory you are going to have at the end of each day by how you end it, by kind of how you wrap things up. I read a book recently by Daniel Kahneman that says memories are really influenced by how things start, major changes during the experience, and how things end. So at the end of the day, I would really try to focus on, like, even if there were very few things, like the things that went well. Yeah. And that really helped create this kept the momentum on my side.
I love that.
Is there anything in climbing or even outside of climbing that's really helped you stay positive in moments like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first off, I just want to respond to that practice that you had on the Dawn Wall, because I think it's something we can all apply to our life. Someone says, do you have pet birds there? Yes, I'm like in a tree house that is just like me and like hundreds of birds. So those bird sounds and me are like the only people around here. Everything else has been deserted. But I really like that, because I think that, that's a very simple kind of mental, positivity hack that we can all apply. And that is really reflecting on what went well that day. We do that with our kids. We have this thing called the rose and the thorn. We do at dinner, where we ask them, what was your rose today and what was your thorn? And usually they don't have a thorn, which is beautiful, but they almost always have a rose. And just reaffirming the positivity in our life really can keep that momentum. So I think that makes a lot of sense that you use that at the Dawn Wall, and I think we can use that every day, whether in quarantine or regular life. I think for me, one of the ways that I stay positive is really just looking for ways to serve people, really like, and sometimes those are very small ways. Like a way to serve someone might be just to make an introduction that they really need that could help their business or their nonprofit. Or a way to serve someone could be sending them a book that I just read I think could apply to them. Or with my kids, it's really just about being present with them, like just literally just turning all the devices off and just being fully present with them. You know, with my ex-wife down here, it's like taking the kids so she can have some quiet time or do an online yoga class or something. So I think that when you serve others, it reverberates back at you, and it really creates a feeling of positivity because you see the response that they have. And so I try to find, you know, something I do every day to serve someone. And that really keeps me, I think, having positive momentum.
I love that. I love that. Someone asked me to mention again what book that was that I mentioned. It's by the author called Daniel Kahneman, and the title is Thinking Fast and Slow.
That's a great book. Yeah,
it's a great book. It's a bit of a for me. I found
it's a little academic.
Yeah. Some parts are a bit of a slog.
I don't know. I mean, no disrespect to the book. I don't think you need to read the whole book. I think you can read the cliff notes. There's there's you know, those things, I forget what they're called. They're like 15-minute podcasts that summarize a book.
Yeah.
Unless you have a ton of free time, I think I would take that path.
Yeah, totally. It's very academic, but
it's
I found certain parts just like jumped off the page, and other parts I was like falling asleep. But it's a great book. The other thing that I took away from the Dawn Wall that I'm kind of applying in this moment of like total uncertainty is trying to stay effective in like such a crazy moment where like the future looks totally different than it did a month ago or 2 months ago. And it's totally uncertain. And I'll have moments of like crushing anxiety and fear, or just like not knowing what the future is going to look like.
Yeah.
You know, look up like non-essential service, and the definition is like professional rock climber. You know, like, is this career even going to be relevant, you know, on the other side of this? I don't know. But it's impossible to try to like focus and answer that kind of stuff. So the way that I stay effective is the same way I tried to stay effective when I was stuck for a week on pitch 15, which was to stay solution oriented. Like the whole time I was stuck on that thing, I was obsessing over like what I was doing wrong. Instead of like visualizing success, I was analyzing video of all my falls and trying to figure out what was going wrong. I was trying to stay solution oriented instead of focusing on the stress, the fact that there were freaking TV cameras on the valley floor and I was holding Tommy up and all this stuff. Like, so for me, trying to stay like solution oriented is my way of staying effective and like serving my family the best way that I can.
Yeah.
Does any of that resonate for you, or do you have a way that you try to like stay effective in crazy, like turbulent moments like the one we're in now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been a big list maker, and goal setter. But I feel like just day in, day out, I really try to make a list of the things that are the kind of most important to accomplish that day. And those are also sometimes a person to get back to, or an email to write, or whatever. And I think the thing is I always try to start with the thing that's going to be the hardest. You know, so for me, I think that willpower is somewhat. A lot of people think you can grow your ability to have willpower, and I think that's true over time. But I think you kind of start each day with a certain amount of willpower, and it depletes throughout the day. And that's why a lot of people work out first thing in the morning. They say, if I don't work out in the morning, I won't do it, because you have the most amount of willpower pretty much after that first coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I try to do the hardest things and work the most confrontational thing in working out or training, whatever, like first thing. And so for me, the way to kind of be solution oriented is really to have that list and make that list from hardest to easiest throughout the day.
I like it. Yeah. And speaking to like tackling the hardest thing first, and like the idea of willpower, that kind of connects with like the last thing that I really learned when it comes to kind of confronting really difficult moments. And that is like staying connected to your why, you know, like staying inspired. And if you can do that, it makes the whole effort of trying to remain effective and be solution oriented and to, you know, try to stay positive as opposed to like being run down. Like if you can be anchored in the why. And now my why is like my family, right? That's always going to be number one. And I'm thinking about the future and how to support my family and like this, however this new world looks. And that's the thing that fires me up first thing in the morning. It's the thing that keeps me up late. But I
Yeah,
think if you can stay connected to that why, it helps keep that fire of willpower alive, you know?
totally. I mean, that's been a big part of my life for the last couple of years. 4 years ago, I sold half of Tom's and we hired a CEO, and I stopped being involved day to day. And after about a year or two of not really having that day to day purpose, I really wasn't in my best mental space. And so I started really thinking and looking around at, what are the things that I can do to kind of insulate myself from the challenges of modern living, and all the issues that we, kind of go through. And what I found was there were really simple practices and habits that not only I could learn, but I could teach others. And that's really become my why. Pat, who my partner, we spent 2 years creating a program called Made For. And Made For's whole purpose is to help people really thrive, by teaching them habits and practices each month, and that really stack on top of each other. And I'm so grateful that I have that mission in my life now, and especially during this time, because we found so many people are stuck at home and they're wanting to learn new things so that when they get out of quarantine, they can really attack life with a real kind of state of flourishing. And so it's been really nice for me to be able to connect with so many people going through the Made For program and seeing how it's transforming their lives during this really challenging time. But if I didn't have that why and that thing to focus on in terms of helping people really live their best lives through these practices, then I don't think I could live my best life. Like, I feel like we always have to be in a state of serving. And when we are, that's when it really comes back to us. And so I really connect with that, Kevin. I think having that why and having that be kind of front and center of your day is so important.
Love it. Love it. I have to pause real quick and remind everybody that True Blue Climbing is the one that's making this little chat possible. And you have the opportunity to win an audible for your local climbing gym, but you got to go follow True Blue Climbing and then comment on their most recent post and tag the gym that you'd like to see win that audible. In a couple minutes here, we're going to open it up to Q&A. You guys can, I think there's like a function here where you can actually like type in questions and we can check those. Yeah, there is. So start noodling on what you want those to be. I've got a super ghetto setup where I've like literally duct taped my phone to my computer so that I don't have to hang on to it. But the computer's so warm that the tape is like melting. So let me see if I can. There we go. Okay. Let's see how long that lasts.
I'll tell you one hack that I've done, speaking of phone and Instagram and all this, is that I have deleted Instagram off my phone, and I only allow myself to do Instagram on my iPad, which actually is great for these lives because your face is like really big on my iPad.
Oh, crazy.
But it's been amazing for me because it's really allowed me to be more present with the kids and not being interrupted that much. Or just like whenever I'm feeling bored, like just mindlessly scrolling. And so that's an experiment I did the last 60 days that I highly recommend. Is if you can take social media, and I took it social media and all email off my phone, and I only have it on my iPad. So I have to be like very purposeful, like, okay, I'm going to go do that now. So I open up my iPad to do that. But then when I don't have it open, then I can't access it because it's all deleted off my phone. So you wouldn't have this problem with duct taping your phone if you just had your Instagram on your computer.
I need to get an iPad. I'd be I should try that.
It's great.
Awesome. So you already answered the question that I wanted to close with, which is what you're working on now. If you guys didn't catch it, it's a company called Made For. Check them out on Instagram at Made For. I've subscribed. I'm getting the monthly boxes, and I'm working my way through. It's hard. I'll be honest. It's hard.
It's not easy. No.
It takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, creating new habits and practices is not an easy thing. We try to create a program that really it's 100% analog. You don't do it with any device or digital app that could interrupt you from learning. But real change takes commitment, and we find that you kind of have to get beat up a little bit by life, and you have to probably sometimes becoming a new mom or dad is enough to kind of push you into that mindset of like, okay, I really want to have more personal agency over my day-to-day well-being, and that's what we're trying to help people with. So it's been a really fun program.
I love it, man. I love it. So with that, we're going to start transitioning over to some of the Q&As that we have
Great.
here. Okay, so I'll take the ones that came in a while back and the most recent. So one is asking, got any boulder or sport projects? So I just finished a highball project right before the quarantine hit that I haven't really shared anything about yet, but I'm going to soon. It's funny, I haven't done a major highball since Ambrosia, like back in 2009. So it's kind of ironic that the first project that I got really, really excited about after the Dawn Wall was this highball. And I've done some other big wall first ascents in the valley since the Dawn Wall, but they didn't like fire me up the way that this one did. So I'll be sharing more about that in a little bit. I've got someone asking updates on when Session will open and what's it like trying to open a gym. So Session is the climbing gym that I'm opening in my hometown. I've been working on it since January 2016, and it's 2020. It's funny, when I started this project, and Blake's been a great mentor throughout this whole process. I was like, I kind of joked, I'm like, oh, as long as it doesn't take as long as the Dawn Wall, I'll be happy. And now it's going to take about as long, start from like inception to grand opening.
Yeah.
I love reinvention. That's why I did it in a lot of ways. And I love doing things for my local community, and building a climbing gym does both of those things. It sent me on a huge learning trajectory, not knowing anything about construction, real estate development, the financials of how a climbing gym works, any of this stuff. And now it's become like everything I live and breathe every day, because I just want this thing to open no matter what. So we should be breaking ground in a matter of months, and we should be open next summer. But stay tuned for more on that. Let's see. Any tips for navigating starting a company during these hard times? I'm starting a climbing gym software platform, and it's hard to, how do I get the full question? Hard to ... I can't see the whole thing. Well, Blake, I think you're probably best suited to answering this one. Starting a company during these hard, I know you've been working on Main 4 for 2 years, but
Sure.
It's more or less launched
Yeah.
kind of right in the middle
Yeah.
of this.
I mean, I think, it's interesting. I had this great mentor once who said, as an entrepreneur, never waste a good recession. And what he meant by that was a lot of companies, more established companies and larger companies, when we have a financial setback or recession, because they have so much infrastructure and overhead, they have to pull back. They have to lay off people. They have to cut all their marketing budget. They have to pull back to survive. But if you're a startup, an entrepreneur during that time, and you don't have all that overhead and all that historic stuff, then you can really that's an opportunity to actually stand out. When I launched Tom's in 2006, and this a year into Tom's is when we had the financial crisis in 2007, when Lehman Brothers crashed, and the whole mortgage fiasco, and really a lot of companies in the footwear space just pulled back. I mean, and so that was an opportunity for us to push forward. So I think, depending on your business, of course, but if you have a business that is in demand during a time like this, it can be actually a really positive time to start a new business.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. We have someone just in the comments here asking, Blake, businessmen or women that you look up to.
Well, one that we probably both do is Yvon Chouinard, right? The
Yeah.
founder of Patagonia. He lives just down the road from me in Jackson Hole. I've read all of his books. I think he operates with the highest level of integrity. I read his book, Let My People Go Surfing, right when I started Tom's, and it was a huge influence on how I built the company. So that's a person I'd probably love to give a shout out to in this community.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I'll echo that one for sure. Let's see. Advice for those trying to align purpose with something tangible work-wise. Help with the how when you have an idea. Oh man, how do I make these?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm new to this Instagram live stuff too. So.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, at least for me, they kind of go hand in hand. Like, I try personally, I'm very particular about the things I say yes to. I say no to a lot of stuff, and I
Yeah.
only say yes to the things
Yeah.
that I know I'm going to follow through on because I'm so stubborn. Like this climbing gym, I've been working on it for over 4 years now. Like I could have done so much else with my bandwidth in 4 years, but I'm stubborn. Like once I make my mind up to do something, I'm going to do it. But the reason I stick with it is I care about it so much. Like I grew up in this community. I want to give something back special to this community, and I'm not going to quit. So for me, it comes with like the DNA of what I'm choosing to focus on. If there's
Yeah.
an element of purpose tied into the element of work that'll help it give more, it's kind of this circular thing. It's got to be successful in order for it to be able to give. Then
Sure.
then I'm able to like give it a ton of effort. Same with one climb. It's like it's tied. They're not separate things. They're one and the same in a lot of ways.
I agree with that for sure.
Cool. I'm gonna plug True Blue again, you guys. There's a contest going on. If you want to win an Audible for your climbing gym, go follow True Blue Climbing. Comment on their most recent post with the climbing gym you'd like to win the Audible, and True Blue will reach out and announce the winners. So let's keep going with the questions here. What's the best way to help a cautious kid start climbing? For me, I climb because it's fun, first and foremost. So whatever you can do to enable your child to experience the fun in climbing, and don't force it. As soon as it's not fun, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I'll go. There'll be times where I won't go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks without climbing because the joy isn't there for whatever reason. Maybe I'm focused on something else or whatever it may be. But like, that's why we do what we do. Climbing is supposed to be fun. So if your child is cautious when it comes to climbing, embrace that. Support that. Make sure that when they are choosing to do it, that they're finding the fun in it, and that will create the feedback loop for them to want to come back to it. But I think if you force it, that's where a kid might just shut down and not want to ever do it again. So
yeah, I can respond to that as a dad, and I have a son, and ironically his name is Summit. But he is a cautious kid. My 2-year-old daughter is not cautious at all. I mean, she literally will just get on the wall, doesn't even want to put the harness on. She's a free solo. And Summit, I found I was probably pushing him a little bit to do like harder routes. And then once I stopped doing that and just let him do the easiest route as many times as he wanted, and he would just do it over and over again. And to me, it's like so boring. But he had so much fun doing it, and then he loves jumping down and feeling the auto belay, lower him. So that's what got him just having so much fun. To then just naturally on his own, he went over to a much harder route and then just did it. And so, so I think it's make sure you make it fun for them. And whatever you do, you don't want them to get really scared, because what I found is that kids really, at young ages, something that really scares them could sideline them for years. Like I was teaching Summit to surf, and we had a set wave come in, and he was like 3, and he was like on the foam board with me, and we just got hammered. And now he has no interest in going in the water right now. And so I think it's because he had a bad experience. So with climbing, I would really make sure that it's fun and that whatever they do, they don't have a negative experience.
Yeah, I think that's so important for sure. Let's see. We've got time for a couple more here. Oh, this is a good one. How do you guys make difficult decisions? Interesting. I don't know if you want to take that one first, but for me, I try to take the fear out of it as best as possible. I think that's such an important part of decision making, is to kind of see clearly through, just like you would a climb. You're sitting at the base of a pitch looking up, deciding whether or not to try something. If you're intimidated, you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to see the objective for what it is, and maybe it's not as bad as you think. But I think fear has the potential to really cloud judgment, to cloud perception, And it's really hard sometimes to separate fear from decision making. And if that means taking time away from like when you make that decision, I think you gotta carve out time for that and not force it.
Sorry for my leaf blower. I don't know what's going on next to me. So like all of a sudden I'm like, what's going on?
No worries.
Yeah. So I think making tough decisions is really just the frame of mind that you're in. Like why is it a tough decision? And usually it's tough if you have ambiguity. At least for me, like not knowing for sure what the right decision is makes a decision tough. I'm trying to get the garden guy to stop. Sorry about that. I don't. My neighbor. I can't. I mean, my Spanish isn't very good either. I don't think he's speaking English. I think if I could find a way to mute me, then I wouldn't be so loud. But anyways, I think we're almost done. So I think trying to take the ambiguity out of it is the best way to. The best way that you can make a good decision that way.
Love it. Let's see what else we have here. What drove both of you to be a giver? What were your inspirations?
I mean, for me, it was just, my dad's a doctor and my mom is an author, and both of them have always been very oriented towards serving others and helping people live their best life. And so I think it was just kind of, I was raised watching them be of service, and it just kind of seemed like that's kind of the purpose of being human, is to help each other on this journey.
Love it. Love it. I think for me, it took a number of years for me to mature to this point where I could recognize my own privilege, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when the light went on for that, I felt this duty to broaden the possibilities. I feel like discovering climbing was one of the most influential things that ever happened in my life. It totally changed the trajectory of my life. So I just started there, and I was like, okay, what are the opportunities for kids to get into this sport? They're so narrow. They're so razor thin narrow. If you're aware of this silly sport called rock climbing, like, you're of the so very few that are so lucky that it just felt like a shame that it wasn't more widely available. And that was really the genesis for the One Climb nonprofit, which was to put climbing walls where kids already are and maybe had never seen anything like this before. Because all it takes is like one experience with something, whether that's a sport or a topic or a book or a teacher. One influential interaction can like totally change the trajectory. And the one thing that I love so much and that I can influence is just this sport of climbing. So that's where I started, was like recognizing my own privilege and trying to broaden the opportunities for other people to be privileged as well. Like it's like trying to influence luck in a way, like trying to take luck out of the equation. I'm lucky that I was born where I was, to the parents that I was, in the city that I was, where there happened to be a climbing gym at the time and all the rest, and therefore climbing changed the trajectory of my life. But if we can take the luck out of it by making climbing walls as common as basketball courts, like totally. how many lives are we going to influence for the better if we do that? So that's how it started for me, at least. Let's see. We got time for one more question. Blake, what's your golf handicap?
My golf handicap's a 9.
I don't know what that means, but the guy that asked it, I think, is a wicked golfer. That's awesome. Hey, well, I just want to thank everybody for taking time out of the middle of their Wednesday to hang out with us. I want to remind everybody that this whole thing was put on by True Blue Auto Belays. They're all about growing the sport. If you have a local climbing gym that you'd like to win a free auto belay, go follow their account, comment on their most recent post, and tag the gym that you'd like to win it. And they're going to select some winners, and they're going to give away 3 auto belays. So make sure you do that. But Blake, hey man, thanks for taking time out of
It's
the middle
awesome.
of your day. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to climbing together when we can
Okay. Hopefully we
together again.
get over social distancing, and I'll see you this summer.
Yeah, sounds good. All
See
right,
you. Bye.
take it easy.